Wow, that was amazing. Leah, you're so good. Thank you, Leah. And thank you, Tamara, for that meditation. I didn't know where we were going with that, but shout out to you and the family farm. What? Nice. And I was thinking about how aren't we all so very privileged? And it might not show up in land or buildings or whatever is the traditional thing, but think back to your ancestors. I know I am so blessed to be part of the family I'm in. I can't even tell you. I mean, I don't want to brag, but wow, we are some smart cookies over here in our family. So the fact that we all have something precious and even if you decided to walk away from your family at an early age because that's not it, well, then I'm sure that you found your chosen family. And so that is even more precious because you had to do something to get there. You had to choose and choose again. It wasn't just like, boop, I popped out and there we are. We're part of, no, this was a curated thing. All of it, I bless all of it. And I know that we're all in the perfect place today, no matter where you are, no matter whether you're covered in a lot of snow or if there's palm trees blowing in the wind, wherever you are. I salute you. I celebrate you and your life because we need to talk about life right now. Are we separate? Is it us and them? And do we have to look out and see separation and a big chasm where all is lost because there's so much separation? I mean, it's a choice, but if we're talking about choices, can I offer a different one? I'm going to offer you a choice that has to do with oneness and not in the typical way, because I know we talk about oneness all the time. And as a minister, it feels like, wow, I'm going to say the same thing today. And I'm going to pretend it's different, but it's always the same thing. And yet, stories are amazing. And we've been talking all month about the story of the Indigenous folk. And because we are here on the land of the Native Americans, a lot of our storytelling is bound with that concept. But remember, there are native dwellers on all the continents. And if you think about the African continent, where all of us came from, there are similar traditions spread throughout there. So we, yes, are talking about Native American culture today, but just know that speaking of ancestry, we can expand this to wherever, whatever corner of the world the native folk made peace with their oneness with Mother Earth. Because if we really go far back enough, that's what we're talking about. And because here's the thing, we are one with each other. And they're finding this out in current quantum physics in the world of science. Everything they do, try as they might to separate science from spirituality, science from so-called religion, but really it's philosophical, what it feels like, what it is like to be human. They would love to take that out of the equation and just do science. But why is quantum physics playing in their faces? It's saying, yeah, you would love to separate the human consciousness from the scientific model, but let me keep showing you where you're wrong. And most recently, it's coming more and more around to the fact that this is a universe where consciousness was the beginning of everything, consciousness, and then consciousness either chose to or surprised itself by experiencing itself in all these other ways. It's called you, me, and everybody else. Consciousness itself, the one ground being, decided, what's it like to be me, having fun with me, hanging out with me, and then if it got a little boring, what's it like to fight with me? I mean, I know it's not a real fight. What's it like? So think about the fact that we are one, even though what's happening in front of your face might be what appears to be separation, what appears to be strife. And if you go back to the principle of oneness, it changes how you see things. And if you can change how you see things, it might change your nervous system inside your body. And as I tell you the spoiler alert to the end of the story right now at the beginning, if you can change the way you see the world and how you interact with the world instead of being us versus them to being one with everything, might that change your posture? Might that change the look on your face? Might it change what you think about, dream about, and how you show up in the world? Well, I'm hoping because that's what I'm here to help you do. Okay, I'm going to read you a story. There's a lot of stories this month. This one comes from the same wonderful book, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And she's the Robin that's going to be talked about here today. The title of this section is Pledges and Possibilities. One morning, Robin's morning walk among birdsong and new leaves was interrupted by thoughts of a phone call from her third grade daughter's teacher the night before. Her daughter had begun refusing to stand with the class for the Pledge of Allegiance. The teacher assured that her daughter wasn't being disruptive or misbehaving, but just sat quietly in her seat and wouldn't join in. The teacher was calling just because I thought you'd like to know. In her own childhood, the pledge had always puzzled her. Robin had no idea what a republic was, nor why they would pledge allegiance to the flag, an inanimate object, rather than to the land itself. Robin's farm was within the ancestral homelands of the Onondaga Nation. On the reserve, just a few ridges away, the children were speaking of a different allegiance. They call it the Thanksgiving Address, or the words that come before all else. The students gather together in the atrium of their school and listen as the group of the day recite the sacred words. Today we have gathered, and when we look upon the faces around us, we see that the cycles of life have continued. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now let us bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. And then there's a pause, and the kids murmur their assent. Now our minds are one. Now our minds are one. It continues. We are thankful to our mother, the earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she still continues to care for us, just as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother we send thanksgiving, love, and respect. Now our minds are one. And then the kids, now our minds are one. The address goes on, thanking all the waters of the world in its many forms: waterfalls, rain, mist and streams, rivers and oceans, and guess what? Snow and ice. That one was for us over here on the East Coast. Then on to the fish, then the plants, then the berries, then the medicine herbs. Each loving paragraph ended with, now our minds are one. The trees, the animals, the birds, especially the eagle, leader of all the birds. Leaders are the first to offer their gifts. So there is a veneration for the eagle, as well as Maple, the leader of the trees. It reminds the whole community that leadership is rooted not in power, not in authority, but in service and wisdom. Thank you to the four wind, brother sun, grandmother moon, the enlightened teachers throughout the ages, our creator. The address, by its very nature of greetings to all who sustain us, it goes a long time. So part of its power surely rests in the time it takes to send all the greetings. And thanks to so many, what would it be like to be raised on gratitude, to speak the natural world as a member of the democracy of species? Each person, human or not, is bound together in a reciprocal relationship. That's the point of that whole thing. So it ends with this. this announcement or part of the group, we have now arrived at the place where we end our words, they say. All the things we have named, it is not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. And now our minds are one. What? So the point of that, it not only reminds me of everything we've talked about since this first Zoom session first opened, from Tamara's meditation about the ancestors and how family, looking around to your family and knowing that you're one, or she said it could be a tree or whatever it feels like for ancestry. She got us rooted in the idea. And I'm sure she didn't read this. I'm sure she did not read this document because, yeah, she's shaking her head. No, I did not. Of course not, because we are so one. And then with Leah's song and the imagery and the way the music sounded a little bit Scottish to me, like it lilted a little bit, right? It just calls us to something higher, something more than my nation and this flag. And you might not be happy what your nation and the flag is doing right now. Doesn't it make you a little more big, wider, more expansive in your idea of who are you and the fact that there is nothing but oneness? I love the way they go through and they thank everything, because why not put our attention on everything that we appreciate? We discussed this last week. If you do not share your appreciation for the things that you value, those things will go away. So by looking at what we want and being grateful for what we want and knowing that this thing that we do want in our lives, we have gratitude for it. We don't take it for granted. We thank it. And then knowing that we can't name everything, we leave it to everybody to do their own internal thanks. And having our minds be one doesn't mean that I have to think everything you think and I have to have everything you have. Our minds being one is so much bigger than that. We are individuations of the one. We are in our true nature, brother, sister, mother, father. We are family, everybody. And the fact that we know that at our core, we come from the same spot, it's kind of hard to judge, because you know that if you were raised in the exact same way as some of the people across the so-called aisle, you might be behaving in that same way. And that we all are pretty terrible and pretty great at the same time. So Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind, and he in his book, The Words That Heal Today, or just Words That Heal Today, not the words, but he says to love God and love our neighbors as ourselves. Ha, well, that's tricky. He says means to see God in everything and to include everybody in one divine unity. And I know that sometimes it's really hard when things are looking exactly the opposite of what you would have happen. So we do have to turn away from the appearances and the external presentation sometimes. It's like a child. Let's say you have a child that, or I know some of you don't have children, but you've been a child. I can guarantee it. You've been now, you know how the child's not behaving well, but you do love that little person. Or maybe you were the child and you did something dumb and you hope that you don't get punished too badly, because in general, if you look at my whole body of work, Mom, I mean, I'm kind of fabulous. It's just this one thing I'm not my proudest moment. Wouldn't you want to love someone beyond the way that they're currently showing up? And so that's the goal behind what it is that's happening with their behavior. Love them beyond that. Tamara and I often joke about this litmus test, how to know whether or not you're being empathetic or not, is when you're sitting in traffic and somebody's driving stupidly and they're doing something crazy. It's so easy to just dislike that person, the whole person, where they came from, where they're going. You just don't like anything about them, and you just make it so much about that whole person instead of about their behavior. And so the fun litmus test is pretend that that's your mom driving the car, or if that's your friend or somebody that you're going to a meeting with, somebody you work with, somebody you know has just behaved that way in their car. Don't you give them a little more grace? Don't you? You don't judge them the way you did the perfect stranger. You make up in your mind some excuse for why it is they're acting that way. And we all do it. We all do it. If we know somebody, they get a little more slack than if we don't know them. And now let's take that a little bigger and talk about groups of people. If there's a group of people you've never been exposed to except through the media and in a negative way, shout out to Black and brown people or anybody that's not mainstream or anybody that's gay or somehow not in the mainstream of whatever it is. You've typically been drawn, painted with a wide swath of brushes that just monolithically put you in a particular light, and then people think they know you, and then they see you, and they just assume a bunch of things because they don't know anybody from that group. And now here you are, you represent everything they think about that group, and you don't even have to open your mouth. That's your grade A prejudice, right? Yes, your grade A, top of the line prejudice. You can't prejudge something that you don't know, but we do it all the time because we have shortcuts. I mean, come on, we don't have all day to do this mental gymnastics about let's hear them out, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Humans are lazy and we think we know everything. We put you in a category and we move on conveniently for ourselves. And I'm sorry if that ends up, now you're marginalized. This is how that happens in a societal way. So what am I saying? What can we do about that? Well, it could be maybe the idea about oneness could say, oh, well, there's definitely God in there, or the divine, or I'm one with that person. That person's me. Some people even say it's not about being your brother's keeper. It's like being your brother, like oneness. There is no other. Because when we decide that there's an other, then we unconsciously put all of our shadow stuff on that other person. It's their problem. So if we could identify the oneness and hold it, even though it's hard, woo, you're on your way. You are on your way, which is why I think that the native practice of doing the long blessing of Thanksgiving and recognizing and knowing all are one, it's a great idea. What a great way to start the day. What a great way. So how do you create the oneness? Yeah, because the easy path is separation and judgment. The harder path is the oneness. So the Science of Mind, here's what we do. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, wrote, "Our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle, which by itself is without a limit. We put a limit on it because of our belief. So it's ready to fill everything because it's infinite. But then our belief limits the infinite." It's the cup, the tiny cup analogy. I love water. I love cups. And here's why I love water. Okay, think about water really quick. And I have a glass here and it's of a certain shape. And when I put water in it, water takes that shape. And if I fill it all the way up, the water will flow over. That's neither here nor there. But notice something that um, it seeks a level. The water's not lopsided. It seeks level and it seeks to spread as far as it can. And then when it can go no further, it rises at the same level. Now, why am I saying that? Well, the divine is like that. It will fill whatever vessel you have made available to it. And if you make yourself bigger by taking away all your judgment and anything that's keeping you from seeing yourself as one with the divine, then there's just more there to fill up. And so it's infinite, And it always seeks that level of spreading out. You're never going to limit the divine source, but you can limit how much you hold. So it's always available. This water, this divine elixir of life, always available to us. And when we expand, open at the top, open our minds, open up, allow more good into your life. Now, of course, I'm going to talk to you a little bit because recently I've been asking myself, well, is there something in me that's stopping the good? Because what if I desire to have, like, we do these visions and I want certain things for myself? If I want to grow, let's say, income, what in me is limiting? What's limiting? And I think with my mind, oh, no, I'm happy with it. You want to give me a bunch of zeros after a one before the dot? I'm happy. But am I? Because the universe knows nothing about delay. So if I said, okay, universe, hey, I'm ready to hold this much, the universe will just pour that in there. No delay necessary. Unless I think I've got a big old cup. But what I have is a cup that's already filled with doubt. How much can it pour in if it's already filled with doubt? And so I had to check myself. And here's what I know for sure. I still have work to do. I do, y'all, because there I was watching this woman online, and she's kind of in the world that I am with AI and tech. And we're not the same, we're different. But when she mentioned how much she gets for her talks, when she goes and speaks at a company and gives them information on how to use AI, I was like, "Ugh," so jealous. I was so jealous. I'm like, how? She charged what? They give her that much? And then I thought, hmm. And then I started saying, well, I'm better because I do. And I was like, girl, what are we doing? And then I noticed. I said, Shar, this is the moment. Check it out. Come on over. Let's look. And I got curious because I said, oh, we all think that we're open to our highest good. We all think we are until someone compliments you on something and you go, no, this is not. Un right? And no one came to me with a big check and said, Shar, would you take this check? And then I said no, because the universe is not that much on the nose. No, it's me seeing myself doing that and then watching how I'm happy to work. I'm happy to make someone fabulous apps. But then when it comes to asking for money, I'm like, no, if that's the part. I was like, okay, so now we know. Now we know how to carve out a little more space in the worthiness department so that I can feel worthy of the things that I say that I want. Because if I don't feel worthy of it, part of me is going to not follow through, not finish up, not ask, not post, not offer because I want to stay a little small because I'm kind of scared. What is going on? So we have the ability to choose whatever we want. And when we're not in alignment, you'll get some nudges. It might show up like jealousy or envy. Follow that. So I did forgive myself and shout out to that lady. Go ahead, girlie. There is no limitation. There's no limits. If she gets a big pie, that doesn't have anything to do with my pie. There's no pieces of a pie. Everybody gets a pie. And if I want a bigger one, all I have to do is the work to see myself receiving and happy. And here's what I found out about myself to finally pin it up. When I finally decided to see myself as a vessel, that the more I receive, the more I give, and that I'm asking for more so that I could be more impactful and be more helpful and more of a resource for the places that I give and serve. Well, now I'm okay about asking because I know what I'm going to do with it. Now I know what I'm going to do with it. So now I'm okay. Please, yes, and I would like to be paid. That's what I want for myself, and that's what I'll hold for myself. And so, what are you holding for yourself today? What are you believing right now? What can you let go of to make room, carve out some room? I'm sorry, I'm thinking about one of those sourdough bowls at Panera Bread where they carve out the bread and they put it in the soup. Carve out some room So the divine can fill up your cup to brimming, to enough to flow over. And the overflow is what you'll serve. Serve, serve, serve. So you could be a big old blessing in this world because it needs you and it needs me to see everybody as one. Okay, so you have your homework. Let's go within and do a small prayer and end this talk. Wow, time flies. There's only one divine presence. That one is everything. Only. That's everything present. The oneness, the one, the divine, the source of all beingness. Some call it God, some call it Allah. It doesn't matter what name it goes by. Just that we know that we are all one with this divine power and presence. And we get to personalize and identify whatever parts make us more amazing, more ourselves, and then turn to that piece of ourselves, embrace it fully, and know that we are here to express that. And when we express that part of ourselves that we're, only you can do, only I can do, and we do it with love, with support, with empathy, with giving, with caring, that is the best harmony to be in with the divine, because that reciprocity kicks in, and what as we give, so shall we receive, and that as our cup runneth over, so we share with others. It is a divine reciprocity that is happening right here, right now. And so I speak my word that our cup overfloweth. And that anywhere in the world right now that is fraught with anything unlike the peace, the love, the joy, the harmony, that we speak our word and we send our thoughts of unity and harmony emerging in that space, because it is right there. It's right there in the midst of them. And so as we turn our attention to what it is we do want, we know that the world unfolds in ways that we can't even imagine. And our job is to say thank you. We thank every being that made everything possible, whatever it is you're going through. Stay in gratitude. So I am in gratitude for this knowingness of who we really are, for my ability to speak this word and know that the universe says, yes, yes, my beloved. So I simply release it into the law, knowing that it is already unfolding. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is.